Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the second episode of our Quickbooks Online ecosystem and apps. For those of you who are joining us again, welcome back. And for those of you who are just here for today, thank you for joining us. I am going to just jump in so you can take a look at the awesome team that we've got with us today on this webinar. So from South Africa, you have myself and my better half, Henny. And from Singapore and Asia, we've got Jason. And from Ireland, we've got Kevin. And I'm going to just hand you over to each one just to introduce themselves. Jason, if you want to go ahead. Jason, you're on mute.
Hi everyone, sorry just now. Okay,
No
so it's good to see some familiar names which I saw yesterday. Thank you for spending some time today as well to join us. And yeah, I'm very glad that you're here, and I hope that we can bring something new for you today. So I'm Jason, and I'm currently based in Singapore. So we have presence in Malaysia and in Singapore. Yeah, so yeah.
Right, thanks, Jason. Kevin, over to you.
Kevin Barry. I'm an accountant and tax advisor based in Ireland. Because of QuickBooks Online, we've clients all over Ireland and actually beyond Ireland as well. Our main motto is we like clients to make money and collect it, and that way you can get out of bed with enthusiasm in the morning and not dread. So that's what we're about. Thanks for meeting you all again.
Thanks, Kevin. Henny, you want to also introduce yourself?
Morning, everybody. Henny Deploy. Lauren and I were based in South Africa. Basically, I'm the technical guy in the business, so I do a lot of the training and the onboarding, and Lauren is effectively the clever one with all the numbers. So she's the one that points the clients in the right direction, and I'll just get them there with the training. Thank you, Lauren.
Okay. Thanks so much. Okay, so just a bit of housekeeping, how the webinar is going to run today. So we know that we booked an hour. We do normally run over just because there are some great questions that we hear from the attendees. So what we're going to do is just try and get to 1 or 2 questions after each section, and any general questions we're going to keep to the end. So if you are limited to time, you don't have to join us with those questions at the end, but we'd love to hear from you. We always learn a lot from the attendees and what they're looking for. So those general questions are really great. You are all in listen-only mode, but we have an incredible team in the background that's available to answer just general questions. So you can pop them in the questions block. Anything that they can't get to, we'll then answer as a panel towards the end. And we're just going to jump into some poll questions just to get to know you all a bit. And then also today for this webinar, there are 2 handouts. So they are available under your handout block, but also they'll be included when you get a copy of this webinar, which you will be getting once we're done. Okay, so I always love to just chat this additional resource is one of my favorite slides. I'm sure you've all seen it before. For me, it's really important to feel empowered when you are, number one, either starting out on your journey, making any changes, or just feel like, somebody might be doing something better if you want to just, better your knowledge. And these are really great places to find some information for accounting professionals. So there's some webinars on demand for the QuickBooks Accountant training, Firm of the Future, which is my go-to. I'm literally on here, weekly, and we've been doing this for many, many years. So I always find that I learn something. Firm of the Future, it's great. It's accounting professionals that are literally writing articles, giving suggestions of the way they do things and how it's working for them. And then just some blogs also run by Intuit. So just, up to date, any changes, all that kind of stuff. So when you got a chance, or when you're thinking of making some change, or you just want to better your knowledge, you can jump into any of these resources and take a look. Okay, so the agenda for today, I'm going to talk to you about app advisory. So advisory is this word, as soon as you started going digital, as soon as you started making changes in your practice, this was a word that kept coming up, and it was very new for us when we made this change 5 years ago. So I want to chat to you about a different way of viewing when it comes to the apps in the ecosystem. We're then going to look at some e-commerce options, some inventory management, payroll and time management, and then point of sale. I am going to hand this over to Natasha, who's going to be running just our 3 poll questions. If I could ask you just to each take a minute and answer them for us, that would be amazing.
Thank you, Lauren. Okay, so our first poll question is, did you attend part 1 of the Ecosystem and Apps webinar series? Please select one of the below. You just say yes or no. And this was just the webinar that happened yesterday. So if you attended that one, please just mark yes, or if you didn't, mark no. Okay, we've almost got all of our votes in. Okay, let's have a look at those results.
Great. So 81% of you are joining us again from yesterday. So thank you for taking your time out. It just shows that we weren't so boring yesterday. So we appreciate you being back. 19% of you are new just for today. That's great. I thought that today would be more popular. People are always looking for, you know, solutions for their clients. We're so happy to have you with us. Thanks, Natasha. Just the second poll.
Perfect. So our next poll is, where are you joining us from? Please select one of the below: South Africa, Singapore, Ireland, or another country. We've got our votes coming in very quickly. We'll just give it a few more seconds. Perfect. Let's have a look at those results.
Great, thanks, Natasha. So we got 58% from South Africa, 18% from Singapore, 18% from Ireland. Kevin, we're up from yesterday. That's amazing. And a 7% from another country. We'd love to hear where you're from. So maybe if you just want to let our team know in the questions block, if you could just let us know where you're joining us from. Thanks, Natasha. The last one.
Okay, and then our last poll question: which category are you most interested in hearing about today and will benefit your practice the most? Please select all that apply below: inventory management, payroll, e-commerce, and point of sale. So I'll just give you a little bit longer for this. You can lock in all the answers that apply.
Yeah, I'm not surprised with these answers. So it's exactly what we were expecting.
Okay, and there are our results.
Great. So 71% are looking for inventory management. It is the #1 app we're being asked for in South Africa. So not surprising. 69% point of sale. It's been the longest issue that we've had in the South African market, was looking for a decent point of sale. 64% e-commerce and 62% payroll. Thanks, Natasha. Great. Thanks so much for answering those for us. It really helps when we know what section to spend more time on. So I'm going to jump right in and just chat to you about the app advisory. So for us, accountants are always going to be best situated to recognize the opportunities to automate these cumbersome tasks and processes with our clients. And for us, we've been able to look at every client and to try and understand what they do and how they do it. And are there weaknesses? So we can recognize when our clients are going to need something to make their business more efficient and to make their procedures, you know, better and make more sense, and just, it's all about time saving. And I think that we have already an advisory relationship with our clients when it comes to their accounting. And this is a really good opportunity to just build on that relationship with them. So this advisory word, this is when it comes to something like value pricing and how do you value yourself? And people always say to me when we do these webinars, you know, what value services do I offer them? How do I, you know, differentiate myself from an accountant that's down the road? And this is one way that you can possibly look at it. And also for me, and I know that Henny will agree, and I'm sure the other guys too, and I'd like their input, but for us, this was about looking at a different avenue in our industry. So it was something that, you know, we've been doing the same thing for 5 years, and maybe we were feeling a bit like, you know, ants in our pants, and wanted to look at other ways. And then we decided that we wanted to start looking at what other solutions we could offer our clients. So sometimes it's not only about being an accountant and not only about reading the numbers, but it's about understanding your client's business and where else you can add value. So as an app advisor, the good news is that you don't have to know all the apps because it can feel very overwhelming. So instead, as an app consultant or an app advisor, your role is to advise and spark interest in emerging technology. You don't have to dictate which app they must choose. So understanding this distinction means that you can comfortably perform your job, knowing you're opening the door to possibilities, you're educating businesses to scenarios they previously didn't even have time to tackle or know where to begin. So I'm going to give you a few tips. This is where the handouts come out. These are 2 documents that we use in our business. So you've got the app exploration worksheet, which you'll get. So you're going to get both of these. And then you use the onboarding assessment or interview worksheet to gather business details. So these are the steps. You're going to verify business operation processes. You're going to research apps and perform demos. What we do when we've noticed that a client needs something, for example, inventory management is a good place because we've spent years researching this. But what we do with our clients is we do like a scope analysis, so this onboarding assessment and the app exploration worksheets. And then we contact the third-party apps to arrange a demo with us and our client. So we make sure that our foot is always there with our client every step of the way. We don't want them to be on this journey on their own because it can feel very daunting. But as you are their trusted advisor, so you are going to be the one that's opening the doors for them and helping them build this relationship. You're going to then, so you're going to do demos together. You're going to determine your role in the process with them. So are you just going to do the demo and help them make a decision on the app and then hand over the implementation and training to the third party that they're going to be dealing with? Or is that something that you feel comfortable doing? Are you going to be involved in the setup? Are you, going to be involved in ongoing support of the product? So that determining your role is quite important. And then you're going to create an implementation plan and timeline. From an accounting perspective, all these apps are going to need your input. How do they integrate with QuickBooks? How do they integrate with the chart of accounts? They are going to need you to be involved. So whether you're just going to work with a third party to make sure that the setup's okay, or you're going to be holding your client's hand and doing it with them, you can decide. So from an advisory point of view, you're going to point them in the right direction. You're going to help them make a decision. You don't have to be a jack of all trades. You just have to be there to be holding their hand through the process. Okay, I hope that makes sense. It is a very brief explanation as to what the app advisory is. But take a look at those handouts. It'll start making more sense. It'll start helping you help your client recognize what parts of their business technology can help them automate. Okay, right. So just to talk about where you can find information on the apps that we're going to chat about. Each region has their own app page. So there's one for Ireland, South Africa, Singapore, and there also is the international page. It's the US page, which has hundreds, and I mean hundreds of apps that you can take a look through. When we are looking for our clients and we are looking for, really wacky or different kinds of apps to look at, we always look at this page. We spent a lot of time dealing with the third parties, contacting them, seeing if their apps work in our region. So it's a really good idea to take a look. A lot of those apps have already, they're already being used by people, so you know that they're just not fly by nights. So yeah, just take a look. We are going to be covering the ones that we have experience with, the ones that are linked. We had a look at the statistics of who is already linked to QuickBooks Online, from the back end in each region. So these are ones that are already being used in your region. But you are not limited to these 4. We're not affiliated to them. We're talking about our experience. So yeah, you can take a look at these links and you can decide for yourself. Okay, so the first section that we're going to look at is e-commerce. One thing that I just also want to say here is, and Kevin mentioned it yesterday, he mentioned the word niche. A niche is something that came up quite a lot when we were researching how we wanted, where we wanted our practice to be and what kind of clientele we wanted to deal with. And when it comes to apps and being an app advisor, you can also decide your niche if you wanted to. So I know one of the other TWMs that I work with specialize in e-commerce. So if we had a client that was, really looking at doing an e-commerce and it's a complicated setup, we would reach out to her. So it's okay to also lean on, other accountants that are in your vicinity or just people that you know of that specialize in certain things. We can all be there for each other. But this is where niche comes in. So if it's something that you're passionate about, e-commerce or inventory or payroll, then that's something that you can really specialize in and make sure that you can, be the king of it. So we saw that with the COVID-19 pandemic, it's definitely forced businesses to reassess how they provide their products and services to a target market in lockdown. So the e-commerce platforms can make this happen by delivering your business to their doorstep and by using the internet. So e-commerce platforms are on the increase with new stores, they're opening daily, and having this platform linked to your QuickBooks Online, the company, it's going to increase efficiency and streamline productivity. We saw a huge shift, people wanting to go online, huge. We saw clients that we quoted or sent proposals to 2 years ago to move online, all of a sudden come out of the woodwork. Kevin, Jason, did you guys see a huge shift over this period with COVID, if people wanting to go online? Kevin?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they kind of had no choice as well. So they was thinking about it, and their mind was made up for them. So it was easy enough to get them on board. Yeah.
It was. This was the easiest time to turn somebody who was really felt that they were technically challenged to just take the plunge. So it was really an interesting time for us. Okay, so e-commerce, we've got 4 apps that we want to talk about. We're looking at WooCommerce, Shopify. I'm sure you've all heard of these two. Then we've also got ShopE and OneSAS. So ShopE is mostly in Southeast Asia and Taiwan. And I'm going to ask Jason just to spend a short time just telling us a bit about the app.
Okay, cool. So ShopE, so how we came about this was that we were actually discussing, what are the commonly used e-com platform in Southeast Asia region. And the first thing that came to my mind was Shopee. Actually, there's many others, but today we will just talk about Shopee. So Shopee is actually really easy to use. Just download the app on your phone, sign up to register, create your account, upload your products, and then you can start selling. So for those who are still considering like which platform to start with or which platform to expand on, you can consider Shopee. So this is why, because they are the fastest growing online platform in this region, Southeast Asia. They are also #1 in the monthly active user and download for shopping apps in this region. So if you to sign up as a seller in Shopee, they have free marketing tools to also boost the traffic. So next, depending on the type of seller you choose, there are different benefits, and one of them are 0 commission fee for marketplace sellers in Singapore. So what this means is that you actually sell for free and they don't take any commission. Yeah, so this is actually quite good. And I think I just want to add a little bit more, which is not about Shopee, but another one that I believe Henny will be talking about, WooCommerce. So we actually have a team of web designers at our firm, and we commonly use WooCommerce as well for them. So yeah, back to you, Lauren.
Great, thanks, Jason. I think that's really interesting that Shopee have that 0, what did you call it, 0 fee? So for like a startup,
0 commission fee.
That's incredible for startup businesses. I mean, one of the most crippling things that we see when clients are looking at implementing these apps are fees, especially with the online shopping. So they're taking like a percentage. So that's really an incredible feature. I love that. Henny, do you want to just chat to us about OneSAS and Shopify?
Perfect. So Shopify and WooCommerce effectively are just platforms where you would go and create an e-commerce website. And OneSAS is effectively the link between your QuickBooks Online accounting system and the WooCommerce or the Shopify website that physically gets created. Now, it's effectively, they have to work hand in hand because WooCommerce and Shopify don't have a direct link into QuickBooks. That's what OneSAS ultimately allows. And what it ultimately boils down to is if you are going to log onto an e-commerce website as a consumer, you are going to get an invoice and you can order whatever you need to do. So, think about any online website that you've seen before. Now, just to streamline the entire process, you want that effectively to pop directly into your QuickBooks, and it's all about speed and productivity, as you said previously. So yes, it's definitely those are the two most common platforms that we see with regards to websites. And if you are going to look at them, know that OneSAS will cater for the connection directly into your QBO.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right, so we're going to just look at one or two questions now, if anybody's got anything that's coming in. And just while Natasha's doing that, I think Henny, I just wanted to check with you. Would Zapier do the same thing that OneSAS does with WooCommerce and Shopify? Is it sort of the same? So it's all about the integration between various apps?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, for those of you that joined us yesterday, Zapier is effectively a linking tool between multiple apps. Now, it's not necessarily only accounting, but they do have a WooCommerce and a Shopify connection to QuickBooks. It ultimately just boils down to what is the simplest for you. Zapier, keep in mind, is for multiple platforms. There will be a little bit of setup involved, but it is relatively straightforward.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Natasha, are you ready for those questions?
Yeah, hi, Lauren. Yes, so we don't have any questions at the moment, but if we do have any questions coming in after this, I'll just ask them at the end.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, we are jumping into the biggest section of apps because, and I don't know, and I said this yesterday, but I don't know if it's just that in South Africa we are very mindful of the amount of theft that we see in businesses. So for us, inventory management is really so important. And in our experience, this has been the #1 requested app that we are seeing. Henny has spent many years doing research on this. So yeah, and it can be quite complicated. So we partner a lot with the third-party guys. They do like their own take on and their own setup, and we just, handhold a lot. But inventory management, are really big. And it's really around because QuickBooks Online has just a basic stock management system, because remember, it is an accounting system. And if you're a manufacturer, or if you have multiple warehouses, then the advanced inventory is definitely a must. So you can have multiple stock locations, manufacturing, so, batch numbers, bills of material. And I love that you can have your customers log into a B2B platform and manage their own orders. So this is a huge selling point with our clients. So it opens up a whole lot of doors, and our clients have been very impressed. So so the 5 that we're looking at, we do TradeGecko, SOS Inventory, we've got Unleashed, Dear Systems, and then Katana. And I'm going to ask Jason just to chat to us a bit about TradeGecko.
All right, cool, thanks. So for TradeGecko, like one word I'll just use to describe this system is that it's really user-friendly. Now, how this system works, it pretty feels like QuickBooks. So one example is like when we log in, we can see the similar dashboard where it shows us the numbers and some fancy graphs, just like what we see in our QuickBooks system. So a good point which I would like to share is that it's able to not only integrate with QuickBooks, but also many others. And 2 of them that we mentioned just now, like WooCommerce and Shopify. So they are able to integrate as well.
Amazing.
So you are doing trading especially, and if you are using those e-com platform, then it's definitely a good fit for you to try to get TradeGecko to manage your inventory. Now, I wanted to share more about TradeGecko because we have been consistently helping our clients to integrate TradeGecko with QuickBooks. And it's very helpful because when you want to solve issues like having consignment, and when you have a multiple warehouse. So another great feature of TradeGecko is that they're able to track variant. So what do I mean by that? A classic example would be like a t-shirt where you come in different sizes, so then the system can also track that. So once you integrate TradeGecko with QuickBooks, this integration will help you to do all the heavy lifting of the data entry. So whatever that is being keyed into TradeGecko, it will definitely and ultimately be translated into your QuickBooks. And so then that solves you a lot of time spending keying into different areas.
Absolutely.
And lastly, I think the support is just superb because they provide 24/7 email tech support, which replies you really promptly. So many times when I face problems, when during integration or like when some data is not going through, and I just shoot them an email, and they reply really promptly. So I think this is a very good software to use.
Great.
To you, Lauren.
Thanks, Jason. So Henny, in our practice, is literally the inventory master because he spends so much time researching all of them. So I'm going to ask him just to chat a bit about SOS Unleashed, Dear Katana, just briefly what your experience has been, why you would maybe prefer one to the other. I just want everybody to realize that this is our personal experiences. So, you know, we're not affiliated, but I promise you, Henny's had sleepless nights researching and looking into. Yeah, many. So please, if you wouldn't mind just sharing with us.
Okay, so very simply, a lot of what Jason said applies to all of the other software packages that we're looking at. They all pretty much do the same thing. However, some cater more for other things versus where, for example, SOS doesn't have much integration with e-commerce. The reporting is not as, let's say, expansive as it might be in the others. However, that is determined by the price ultimately. So SOS is definitely one of the cheapest inventory management options that are available. However, for me, the biggest thing that I found with them, because us being in South Africa, the time zone becomes an issue when you're trying to deal with anybody that's either in Singapore on the flip side of the coin or the flip side of the world in the States. You know, it's difficult for us to be able to work during our day, and then we have to wait for answers, unfortunately, because of the difference in time zones. Now, the nice thing with regards to TradeGecko is they do have a team that's now been set up in the UK, as far as I understand, which obviously makes it a lot better for us. But the primary support that they have is actually in Singapore. So from a UK perspective and from a Singapore and Malaysian perspective, TradeGecko would definitely be one of the better options. Unleashed as well. So Unleashed are actually right across the world. They've got offices in the States, they've got offices in Australia, and they've got offices in the UK. And I actually think they might have in Singapore as well. However, Unleashed, Dear, TradeGecko, and SOS are very, very similar systems. In the past, I found from a support and onboarding perspective for the South African market, Unleashed has definitely been the best. It doesn't mean that Dear and SOS are not as good in terms of the performance, but just personal experience so far, Unleashed has been the best, but also the most expensive. Katana is a slightly different system. It's more about a manufacturing resource planning system where the rest are more inventory management and multi-warehousing and bill of materials. Now, Katana does do that as well, but it has the manufacturing planning side, which the others actually don't cater for. And look, I think just to summarize everything, it all is entirely dependent on what you need from a system. So my recommendation very simply is get hold of the people and do a needs analysis. You know, you have a meeting with them and the accounting professionals that you deal with and discuss, hash it out. This is what we need. We're looking for X, Y, and Z. And very simply, they're going to come and say, yes, we can do it, or no, this is what we can offer you.
Yeah. So it's all about reaching out and just, you know, contacting these app developers and just chatting to them. We're going to jump into questions. So if you could just get them in. And then Kevin, I just, when we were discussing all of this, inventory management obviously was not popular in Ireland, or is it because maybe just with your clients, you don't do clients that do inventory? Is it that it's actually not popular? Is it not, you know, is there not a lot of manufacturing done? What's your take on this?
I know it's popular, all right. It's just an area that my client base isn't huge in. And we just haven't gone after those type of clients in particular. But I was taking the notes from the two lads here, so we'll see what happens in the next 12 months.
Great. I mean, what is nice, and I'm just going to say this again, that unless we're telling you that an app is region specific, all these apps are global. So it's really nice. We're giving you some stuff to go look at, and they should be able to work in all of your regions. Okay, and you can also just check with them, you know, by reaching out and just asking if there are any issues with you using it in whatever region you're in. Natasha, were there any questions for this section? And Natasha, are you there?
Hi, Lauren. Sorry, yes, no questions for now. Any questions we are putting for the end of the session?
No questions on inventory. I'm very surprised. Hopefully we just answered everything that you want to know. So that's great. Okay, we're going to jump into payroll and time management. Really, this is a no-brainer. With an accounting software, you have to have a payroll software. So I think that payroll is also very much about a personal experience. Also for us, we made the decision about what payroll we were going to push with our clients because we wanted to partner with an app that looked at us as business partners as well. So same as QuickBooks, Intuit QuickBooks, they look at us as accountants, they video a platform, you know, they offer these kind of webinars. We wanted to partner with a company that did that. That was how we made the decision. And obviously we also liked the, you know, how the payroll ran. We've got very specific region payroll, so that's going to be great. And I'm just going to run through the 5 of them, and then I'm going to hand you off to the various regions. So we've got Cloud Pay, and this is in Ireland. We've got Simple Pay, which is worldwide, so each one of your regions can use it. PaySpace is also global, so you can all use that. And then we've got G Payroll, which is Asia only. And we've got the AG HRM, which is also Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, so Asia as well. I'm going to hand you over to Kevin to chat to us about Simple Pay and Cloud Pay. And then, yeah, we'll hand you over to Jason.
Thanks, Lauren. I can get straight to the point on the first 2 there. So I use Cloud Pay myself, and we do it with payroll for quite a number of clients. It's not integrated with QuickBooks yet. They're seeking to get integrated actually at the moment because of the demand they're finding. It's really good for businesses with say 8 or 9 employees up. Super response time, and especially in the current issue, they were very adept with all the new schemes that came in to do with the pandemic and shutdowns and wage supports. Very quick at the mark, overnight type arrangements. The other thing is that, you know, it's cloud-based as well, and you can log in from anywhere. So that's obviously, that goes with all of these. Simple Pay, I have quite a number of clients that use that themselves. Both of these are very affordable, but for the, you know, the owner, somebody with a 1 or 2 person company, that one is really kind of affordable and quick to get off the ground. It only gets more complex when you're dealing with other people's lives, you know. So, but that integrates excellently, and you know, both of them are A1 really, you know. So it depends on the size of your business as to which one you choose.
Fantastic, thanks, Kevin. And I just want to say what's nice about these cloud payrolls is that you pay per employee. So per pay slip, that's the amount that you're going to be paying. And I couldn't believe how affordable these softwares were. It was really amazing. Also, what's nice is that you can add on the additional features if you want to. So most of them will have like an HR module where you can, you know, or track leave, and the employees can log in themselves. So it really is opening up a whole lot of doors to automation when it comes to payroll. Jason, give us a minute. I just want Henny, while we're on this slide, to just chat to us about PaySpace. So PaySpace is our choice of payroll in our practice. We have close to, I think, about 100 clients running on it, and we love it. But Henny is our payroll guru, so I'm going to get him to give us some input, please.
Okay, so I suppose for us, the reason why we ended up going with PaySpace is because they cater, as Lauren said, for an accounting practice to actually run all of their clients' books, all of their clients' payrolls from one centralized place, which a couple of the other options didn't work for us, particularly Simple Pay, because Simple Pay is quite prevalent in South Africa. But PaySpace literally...
Sorry, they gave us preferential pricing because we're an accounting practice. So you still,
yes,
like what happens with, you know, yeah, you can give you get that wholesale billing. PaySpace does the same thing with us. Sorry, Henny.
Good point. No, good point. So look, the thing for us is it was centralized. It's one login for an advisor or a consultant that's working on the payroll to log in and have access to all of their clients' payrolls, obviously from a support perspective, exactly the way that QBO works. So it just fits right into our whole methodology for the way that we work with clients. And they've got 3 pricing tiers. So they cater for a 1-employee company. They can cater for a 10,000 employee company with a full HR department. They literally go from this to the biggest scale that you can imagine. What recently I actually like the most about it is that they are keeping up to date with the times. So their original, or they call it their classic payroll, is getting a bit dated. And over the last 6 months to a year, they've actually made, I'm not going to get into the technicalities, but they've made some major changes into their system, which is going to cater for exponential growth over the next couple of years. And they've rehashed the entire interface, and it's modern, it's clean, and it actually is quite simple, even though it's not called Simple Pay. But it works, and it really works well for us.
Okay, Henny. Jason, if you could just chat to us briefly about Payroll and HRM, please.
Yes, I would love to, and I'm really excited about this payroll system because Payroll and HRM are actually very powerful systems if we use them rightly, and they both have their basic operational human resource module like personnel, claims, leave, as well as payroll solutions. Now, Payroll is reasonably priced at $7 per person per month at a minimum monthly fee of $70, and there is no catch. So, and there's no long-term contract, so it's like pay as you use. So that's very good for startups, right? And for HRM, what I really love about this system is that their ability to customize solution to meet your needs. Now, usually when it comes to customization, you will say, hey, wait, Jason, wouldn't the cost be a bomb? But well, there's a good news in Singapore. They are actually pre-approved. And this means that you get government grant, and it is under the SME Go Digital. So this makes your investment really worthwhile. Now, they have various customers ranging from F&B, retailing to healthcare, construction, and others. So just to name some brands which use them, and those brands which I'm more familiar with, like McDonald's, KFC. So sharing from a personal testimony, so in my previous engagement, I was actually tasked to source for a human resource management system. Now, after comparing 3 companies, we decided to take up HRM. Now, the main reason we chose that system was because of their attendance module, which allow us to capture the staff booking in different shifts as well as different locations via a biometric wall-mounted device or a mobile phone, which you can use the geofencing capabilities. So that is very good. We can track the attendance. And another module that is worth mentioning is their talent management module, where they have performance review as well as learning modules. Now, allow me to explain a little bit more about this. So an example would be in, let's say, for example, a staff, which is going to be promoted, or for example, a staff who needs to continue working, they might have to go through a certain certification. So these modules actually handle that. So in my conclusion, I'd just like to repeat what I mentioned yesterday. The best system is really what fits you. First and foremost, of course, is the pricing. Next would be whether the system is able to meet your needs, like what Henny mentioned just now. So spend a little bit of time, understand their system, get their sales team to provide a quick demo, which I believe they'll be more than happy to, and then you can decide from there. So usually when I meet my clients, I also get HRM to join me in the meetings. Yeah.
Right.
That's all I have.
Amazing.
Thanks.
Thanks so much, Jason. So we're going to look if there's any questions for this section. And then just while they're looking at those, for us, one of the biggest, and I know a lot of bookkeepers or accountants that we work with, is how many times do you get asked for a copy paste slip? How many times? Somebody is looking to buy a vehicle and they need the last 6 months pay slips, and you got to reprint them. And what's nice about a lot of these systems is that they have where the employees can just log on and download their own pay slips. So really, once again, it's all about automation, all about technology, all about running a paperless office, which we spoke a bit about yesterday. And these are the kind of things that these apps are going to be giving you. Natasha, are there any questions for this section?
Thanks, Lauren. So we've got one question with regards to payroll for now. The question is, does QBO Payroll not suffice, or is it always recommended to use a third-party software?
I have a feeling that that was Leandra, so thank you for asking. I think what we've got to be mindful of is that we're using each region that we're talking to at the moment is using a specific global region QuickBooks Online, and we do not have access to QBO Payroll. So for us in our regions, it's really the UK and the US that have the QBO Payroll written into the program. We do not have access to that module. So for us, we look at a third-party app. Thanks, Natasha. Was there anything else?
Thanks, Lauren. I think we've got one more. Can I just have a look at it?
Yes.
I've got one more question that says, does PaySpace integrate into QBO?
Yes, it does.
Perfect.
It does.
Thank you.
And what's also nice with these payrolls is a lot of them can also integrate with your bank so that it can send you know, the payment sheet to your bank and help you organize those payments. So that's also quite a nice thing as well, especially for companies that have lots of employees. You really don't want to be sitting and loading everybody's salary amount for the month. So that's also just about automation, you know, making things a lot easier for you. Okay, so now we're going to start looking at point of sale. So when we started doing software, which was about, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 years ago, QuickBooks Desktop, one of the biggest things that we were always asking for was the point of sale system, because the international regions, other regions had it. So the US had, you know, QuickBooks has their own point of sale in those regions, and we were just always begging to get it. And then we're finding a lot of it with our clients with QuickBooks Online. So now we're really excited that we have these options. So it's about stock control, web ordering, you can do loyalty, accounts, and so many more features. And they come with their own hardware. So, you know, you can have your touch screen in front of the lady that's serving your counter. You can have your barcode scanner. You have your little till. So if you're going to be taking cash or your credit card slips that you can just slide in. So yeah, also your credit card machines. So we're going to talk about 4. We've got Hike, Vend, and then there is Square and EPOS. So I'm going to jump back to the first slide, and Kevin is going to have a chat to us about.
Thanks, Lauren. Okay, the first thing I did, I've come across both of these regularly, but I just noticed that QuickBooks Online reviews are stronger and more favorable towards Hike at the moment. And it was all down to mapping, okay? And just for anyone who's not that clued in about mapping, it just trends, you know, it's getting the information accurately from the till to the QuickBooks. The main thing is, I'll say to any business owner or to any accountant who's talking a business owner towards this direction is, I've been astonished and shocked at what some cash register companies charge businesses for putting in cash registers and charging the monthly fees for maintenance and more or less walking away after 30 minutes of training. And nothing is integrated. Business owners are sitting up late at night, printing out big long till receipts as to what happened during the day, pumping it into QuickBooks, getting questioned by accountants, and then there might be mistakes due to fatigue and this type of thing. The great thing is about these 2 items, I'll start with the 2 of them being very strong, is that most of the cost you already have in your house. Nearly everybody has an iPad. I read that something like 80% of world households have something that Steve Jobs invented. Now, an iPad is one of those items. So the iPad you already have, probably. You might have to buy the cash box and invest in a scanner or a little printer, you know, but you're talking a couple of $100 here. You know, the cash box alone is about $80 in the States. In Ireland, it's about €60 to 100, depending on what you get. To make a long story short, you have your till set up with the likes of Hike or Vend for under $500. There's a monthly fee. It's nothing to frighten anyone. And if it's programmed correctly, and there's 14 days free, really what happens is at the end of the day, and you could have multiple shops, and you could have one shop with multiple tills, we'll say, the figures land into QuickBooks. So all that bookkeeping time and fatigue and where did I put those printouts is gone. The accountant who's sitting miles away or across the street has it. Your tax returns are up to date. The tax man, you know, can see where the information is coming from, so it's interrogatable. It'll bring down, it'll rise you as an accountant's value, and it'll bring down the lost hours on admin for a business owner. You know, it's the way to go. The one thing I would say is that from a practical point of view, I'm talking from an Ireland perspective, a bar or a busy nightclub is not the place for this technology. It's really for a shop that might be selling clothes or, you know, dry items, you know, say with tiles or something like that, you know, a builder suppliers. But somewhere where there's always water or liquids moving around isn't great for any of this type of technology. It just doesn't like being underwater. But anyway, the days kind of programming here, and there's very strong support from each of those crowds, would lead to a change of life experience for your clients, right? You know, so worth researching.
Amazing. And I love what you said, because something that I said in the beginning, it's all about how we can value ourselves better with our clients. So in order to automate these processes, it's freeing up our time to give them these value-added services. So I love that you said that. We actually, for the first time in a very long time, had a client arrive at us with a huge Ziploc bag full of these credit card receipts. And I was like, this is going back to the shoebox way of doing accounting. So, you know, we're looking at implementing a point of sale there, but it is about, you know, locking out human error. So there's, you know, there's no mistakes, and it's this mundane, like manual capturing. So we love point of sale. As you said, we've had great success with Hype, integrating with Quickbooks Online as well. So yeah, thank you, Kevin. Jason, you were going to just chat about the ePOS, because that's available in Singapore only.
Sure. So I'll be happy to share about ePOS. So ePOS is actually a local Singapore firm, and it is they have a cloud-based platform. So one thing good about them is that they're actually one of the largest in Singapore, and they have a client base of more than 3,000. So this client base comes from actually a really wide range of industries, from 1 to 50 shops, MMC, dependent, like HQ management style. We have retail, shopping malls. We have F&B, fast food. We have services like gym, spa. So just to name some brands which they have worked with. So like government clients like the Land Transport Authority, Ministry of Manpower, SingHealth, and private clients would be like Citibank, Airbus, Boeing, or Ben & Jerry's, the ice cream. So yeah, what is important is that they are able to integrate with various systems as well. So like what we mentioned earlier, so like Shopify, WooCom, and QuickBooks. So what does this mean for our QuickBooks user? All shops receipts are actually automatically uploaded to QuickBooks and tagged by outlet neatly, accurately, fast, and all automated. PO, stock purchase, stock costing, stocks are all taken automatically and uploaded into QuickBooks using a first in, first out basis. So the accountants also have direct access to the system via a special accountant login. So all data with different levels of details are all exportable via Excel for analysis and calculations. So now, what about us who have firms? So for accounting firms, it actually reduces the workload, like what Laurie mentioned just now with all the receipts. So everything, so now it's all paperless and there's no more collecting paper receipts. And this actually encourages the client to self-key expenses. Now, this also focus on value added and as well as advisory services to increase profitability. Now, it's easy to get analysis and reports to the client, okay? And then therefore you also reduce human errors and costly mistakes. Now just a little bit more on their support. They support 365 days and all are local Singaporeans. So their support is really top notch. I've personally been to their office. They have a big team. So they actually support on every day, public holiday, weekends. You call them, they will answer you. So after hearing all this, you'll probably be asking, yeah, is this going to be expensive? Now, again, the best part of this is that they are also pre-approved under the government grant, so under the SME Go Digital, and that means that it is actually heavily subsidized by the government, which is up to 70%. And now that is a win-win situation there. So yeah, back to you, Lauren.
Great, thanks so much, Jason. We're going to hop onto some questions now, but I just want to say the one thing that keeps coming up with all of us, because Henny mentioned it, Kevin mentioned it, Jason mentioned it, is the support. Because there's nothing more frustrating than when we are trying to support our clients, we can't get our own support. So support for us is a big thing that we look at. You know, what their hours are like, are they in the same regions as us, that kind of stuff. It is really imperative when you're looking at what kind of system you want to implement at your client, that you know when they're going to be available to help you if you need it. So thank you, everyone. Natasha, were there any questions for this section?
Hi, Lauren. Yes, so there's one question that came through. The question says, my client is a computer company that sells parts. Which is better, over-the-counter sales, credit card payments, or create 30-day accounts for their clients? Also, what is the best point of sales for their sales and parts?
So I'd love a little bit more information, but what I'm going to say is that we can't tell his client whether they should be COD or account. So they'll need to make that decision. And if they are going to do account customers, they need to start looking at credit applications before they let somebody walk out the door with some stock. And sorry, Natasha, could you just repeat the second half?
So she's just looking for the best POS package for this computer company that sells the computer parts. Which would you recommend to be the best?
What region is she in, has she said?
She has not said. We can find that out and we'll address it at the end of the session.
Great. So once again, just according to our slides, look at Hackle Square, I don't have much experience with. It is highly rated. The reviews are fantastic. So I wanted to load it there to give you another option. And the EPOS is Singapore. So she could look at Hackle for other regions, Square, and then EPOS if she's in Singapore.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
I'd love to just add something to that, if that's okay. I'll be brief. If you are going to be, if your business is in if it's, sorry, I'm just trying to get my wording here. If you are the type of business that has a retail store and you're walking in, you have to have a POS. It's not a matter of, okay, cool, we're going to hop onto QuickBooks, we're going to do an invoice for you quickly. It's a very long process in comparison to what a point of sale enables you to do. And therefore, if it's a walk-in store, it's recommended that you have a point of sales. A point of sale system. If you are a business that has terms, you don't need point of sale because your clients are going to either email you or phone you and order stuff. You can then hop onto your QuickBooks, email them an invoice directly from your QBO, and then you don't need a point of sale if it's not a walk-in store. You know, we've got a lot of clients in the tech industry, and a lot of them, they're all using QuickBooks Online, and none of them have point of sale. So I'm not sure. If that question was a little confusing with the fact that it's point of sale or 30 days. And also 30 days is very South African.
And I just want to say that with the point of sale systems, you can choose account for your customer if you wanted to. So if you do have a walk-in store and you do have an account customer arriving, you can select that it goes to accounts. It'll just create the bill in QuickBooks Online for you. So you would have the option of both. And Henny, yeah, thanks for clarifying. He's right. It is about speed. When you're standing at the till with somebody, you don't want them to, you know, load a customer, load an invoice. It is cumbersome when you're doing it on QuickBooks Online. It's not instant, but with the barcode scanner, when you're using a point of sale, that's an immediate sale. And then you can just select how they're going to pay, and accounts can be one of those options. Thank you, Henny. Kevin, anything from your side here? Are you're not seeing
no,
big need?
But thanks for the referral there. So the point just worth mentioning, you know, I have a few guys and girls who run security companies and checking cameras and this type of thing. The phone app for QuickBooks Online is very handy when it comes to if someone walks up and say, will you fix the camera? I just saw you on the lot. You can do an estimate and invoice. They can sign it with their finger, and they can pay on PayPal if you're set up properly on QuickBooks Online. PayPal is another app. I don't think we're touching on it today, but just to throw it out there, you know, if that is happening to you, then it might be a point now to progress to one of the point of sale items that Henny clarified it very excellently there on the 2 different times you might need it. So, but just to, you know, take a look at the phone app. There's a few things there.
Yeah, we love the app. So we often cover it in a lot of these webinars, and I always get so excited when I can see that clients can sign on my screen. So yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up. I hope that one of the statistics about the app in the global market is something like 70% of end users use the app more than they log onto the web page. So it is widely used by clients. It's definitely something that you can chat to your clients about and make sure they are utilizing. So thank you, Kevin, for bringing that up. So for us, Natasha, there was no other questions there, right?
Not for the section, no. Thank you very much.
So yeah, for us, that is it on the different divisions that we were doing. We're going to look at covering some general questions now. There's been a whole herd that have come through. This is my favorite part, so I love hearing from all of you. And yeah, Natasha, are you ready to get going with us on those?
Yes, definitely. So I will start with the e-commerce question. So we've got one question there. Which e-commerce app would be the best for a startup, practice, or business?
I think that boils down to your needs. You know, we've said with a couple of the options, first of all, it is region specific, so you'd have to look at who can cater in your region. So Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong, Vend, for example, doesn't work in South Africa.
Sorry, they said e-commerce, not point of sale.
I know, but I'm speaking in general. So,
no, Vend is
available
in South Africa.
Okay, cool. So it's first of all about region specific, in my opinion, and secondly, it's about number one, the cost and the hardware that you might require in the event of something like a POS. But e-commerce cannot be recommended because something like Shopee that Jason spoke about is very simple to set up as an end user who's not a tech savvy person, whereas something like Shopify might be a little bit beyond your technical grasp. So it all depends on budget, cost, and who's going to be able to do it for you if you are able to do something like that with regards to e-commerce in particular. Sorry, just one more very quick thing there. We've had clients that have gone and designed their own e-commerce websites in the past, and that has just purely caused absolute havoc when a link was connected, because on the back end of the e-commerce website, things weren't set up properly. So it is important, if you're going to be looking at integrating anything into QuickBooks Online, that an accounting professional is also there to guide you in terms of the accounts that need to be posted to. Yeah, it's not always about looks in the front end.
Yeah, and the most popular that we're seeing is definitely the WooCommerce and the Shopify, and there are slight price differences with that. So I would suggest you get in touch with somebody who's going to help them set up their site. What are they comfortable with it, and get a quote, because that's mostly what happens. Is the person who's going to be setting up their, their site would help them, would either be proficient in WooCommerce or Shopify. So they both work. Yeah, you can just test them out.
And also always get a second opinion or even a third opinion with regards to designing of websites.
Yeah, proposals, you mean, so that different companies get proper quotes. Agreed. Natasha, next one, if you can.
Perfect. So our next question is around inventory apps. So the question reads, QuickBooks Online does not have a goods received not invoice in the book in stock section. It is not possible to book in stock without entering the supplier bill. Will these third-party apps capture this accurately while maintaining live stock levels?
Yes, you're looking for a work in progress. Jason, I'm correct? Your TradeGecko does that?
Yes, you're right. Definitely it does.
And Henny, all the four that we, or the five that we spoke about, they all do that, right? It's the work in progress.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
They have to. It's part of advanced inventory management. So whether it's from a manufacturing point of view or a holding or a consignment stock or whatever the case might be, yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect.
Next, Natasha.
So we have another inventory app question. When it comes to inventory management, what is an alternative to QuickBooks Enterprise in the form of QuickBooks Online and advanced inventory system?
So all five of those apps that we recommended are advanced inventory. So if they're talking about the QuickBooks desktop Enterprise version,
Enterprise.
all 5 of these can do that, but on steroids. So just take a look at the 5 that we've recommended, and you can actually, on all their sites, they've got videos, they can show quick demos. You don't have to book a live demo, but they'll all be able to do what Enterprise does on some serious steroids. It's incredible what it's technology 10 years after what that Enterprise version can do. So it's amazing.
Perfect. Thank you. And then we've got one question around the payroll apps. Does PaySpace run on a similar principle as QuickBooks Online? Does it have the same functionality as assigning clients as a user?
So effectively what you do is, as the consultant to the client, you create the company, set the company up, because the setup is quite involved because of the vast array of options available in PaySpace. And then effectively you give the client access to what they require. So if they're going to be using ESS, which is employee self-service, if they're using the HR modules, if they organization structures, etc., you would set that up accordingly, and just create them as a user, and then literally they go ahead and log in and they have the access that you've given them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that answers the question.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Henny. Okay, so then we've got another question from Nate in South Africa. He says he loves QuickBooks. He loved QuickBooks Desktop years ago. Now with QuickBooks Online and all these apps, everything gets very costly. What is the best way to keep these costs down? And do you know if QuickBooks has plans for the future to rather include these app functionalities within their software?
I'd love to take this if that's okay, and then I'm going to ask you all for your input. So something that I always say is that Intuit, QuickBooks love hearing from you as accounting professionals. So they want feedback. You can give them feedback in the top right-hand corner of your QuickBooks Online accountant. Ask them for what you want. I send wish lists all the time. This is what we need. This is what our clients are asking for. So feedback is great. We know that the #1 issue with implementing apps at our clients is cost, because a lot of the time you're dealing with dollar-based pricing. So we know this. If your clients understand the benefits, so advanced inventory, we have the most experience with that, and we know that the cost is probably, it could be 10 times what they're paying for their accounting software, but they understand why they need it, the need. So even local products that they were looking at, and most of the local products are desktop-based, they're legacy softwares, but their pricing is way more than what we would be paying for the app. So yes, pricing is a big issue, but I think it's important that your clients understand if they need it, this is what it's going to cost. Kevin, Jason, do you have any input here? What's your feeling? Do you get clients that, Kevin, do you get the same sort of feedback from people in Ireland that the cost of the third-party apps is sometimes crazy?
It's all about the way you pitch it. I know we're dealing with accountants and bookkeepers here, and yesterday we spoke about proposals. Lose the word cost, guys. Go with the word investment. It's investing in your business. It'll lead to higher revenue and a higher value kind of dividend to yourselves. So they're investing in their business, they're investing in making profits, and the accountants learning it and implementing it for them are investing in making themselves more valuable. It's just a change in phraseology. There's no cost. Yeah.
I love that. I'm writing that down. We are no longer going to discuss cost. And that's what I'm saying, is that your clients are making an investment, thank you, Kevin, in their business, because when you look at e-commerce, can you imagine the type of time that's going to save? The double capturing, the inventory management, the making sure that stock, they could look at either minimizing their stock complements or just utilizing their stock better instead of their stock doing these mundane tasks. So it is about investing. I love that, Kevin. Thank you. Jason, do you have anything that you want to add here?
Suddenly lost my train of thoughts. Yeah, like what I mentioned yesterday as well. It's really more about putting your time at what is more important. Like these things are really just investments, and then you can use those times to actually put more value, for example, in customer satisfaction, customer experience, and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Henny, anything from your side? Because you deal with this cost factor a lot.
Yeah, I think it doesn't matter what software you're looking at with regards to what we've covered. You know, I can point out a few things. One, point of sale. Lauren and I both, when we were younger, worked in restaurants, which means we all dealt with point of sale. Well, at least the two of us, we know this. And we know that what cash ups were like at the end of the day. And I know now as an accounting professional what happens thereafter. And in a nutshell, on an old point of sale system, number one, that's not integrating with your accounting system, somebody's taking that 5-meter long sales receipt from the day, giving that to a bookkeeper or an accountant, and they're recapturing. So my point there is automation, speeding up of accounting processes with regards to point of sale, number one. Number two, yes, the rand dollar, and even worse, the pound dollar exchange rate is horrific for South Africans. But if you look at entirely, you know, if I can just use one client as an example, she sells swimming equipment. We've implemented TradeGecko with her in particular, which one step further is she's got wholesalers and schools that effectively buy and sell her products as consignment stock. Now, what's going to happen with her is instead of having 2 people in the office answering the telephone and taking those orders, is we're now setting up a B2B, which is a business-to-business platform for her clients to physically log on and do the ordering themselves. What does that mean to her as a whole? Well, she can now stop having 2 people sitting and answering the telephone, and those two people can now start sitting and making telephone calls and saying, "Hi, I'm phoning from X, Y, and Z company. We sell this. These are some of the people we deal with. Would you like to do business with us? Could we quote you? You know, we go and have a look at our B2B website. Look at this, look at that." So as exactly what Jason said is people can now start concentrating on what is important in business. And that is not sitting in front of a computer, excuse me, and doing data capturing. If you can get out there and do what you're good at, which is running your business and getting more business and concentrating on sales, let the automation be paid for. But yes, it might be costly, but look at the long run, don't look at the short-term picture, particularly for South African businesses. We know because we hear what it costs, but we've seen the benefits of the automation process when it's done properly. And as Kevin said, sell the solution. You need to invest in your business and you will see the results in a couple of months.
Great,
Sorry,
thank you, Henny.
That was a long story.
That's okay, thank you. Natasha, is there anything else?
Yes, so we've got in last few questions. We've got a question from Rob in South Africa. He says, when setting up your point of sale, what is the best solution for moving clients easily over from the existing point of sale and Sage onto QuickBooks? Is there an easy way to import and do these conversions? Do you do this through QBOA or through the point of sale app?
You do it through the point of sale app. And a lot of these companies that you deal with, the cost includes the take on. So they will do the setup with you, they do the first scope meeting, they bring in all your stock items for you, they do the training. So all that kind of stuff will be through the point of sale.
Perfect, thank you, Lauren. And then our next question is also from South Africa, from Digby. Do you have any suggestions for apps that deal with fixed assets register?
Good question, because we get asked this a lot. And just so you know, send some feedback to into your QuickBooks, because this is available in some of the other regions, so we'd love to have it. I actually don't know if I have a solution. Henny, we were looking at it the other day. Do you remember if there were any names? No. Kevin, Jason, have you had any experience with fixed assets?
No, not really. I mean,
running it in QuickBooks.
Yeah, we'd stick with QuickBooks, and if you take a photograph of the fixed asset and you can attach to the bill, listen, you verified its existence, you know, that's a start.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think for us, they're looking, and I know exactly what he's asking for because we were looking, I just can't remember names. So I'm very happy to take this offline. And Rob, I'll get in touch with you, but it's about like automating the depreciation and all that kind of stuff. So I will 100% get back to you on that if that's okay.
Can I hop in? So one of our lovely friends that we met in Cape Town at the roadshow last year, her name is Leandra. She's doing a lot of work in the UK, and smiley face, thanks Leandra. So she's mentioned something called Net Tracker, N-E-T-T Tracker. Is the great one that she found. I don't know where it's available in terms of if it's South African or localization, we don't know. But have a look at N-E-T-T Tracker, and it can do the automation of depreciation for you.
Fantastic. Leandra, if you can, don't you want to just post a link to the site on the question bar? That would be amazing. Also, just to quickly mention, and then I'm going to ask our team in the background just to post it, these webinars will be available on demand, and there's quite a few that we've done in the last couple of months. So I'm going to ask them to just post a link to where you can find any of the webinars that you've missed. So if you've heard us referring to any of them, you can just go ahead and find them. So that's Net Tracker. Thank you, Leandra. If you can post a link in the question block, I would appreciate it. Okay, great. Thanks. Thanks, Leandra. Right, Natasha, anything else?
Yes, so we've got one more question that we have time for. That is from Gwendolyn in Singapore. Does the Payroll app help prepare the IR8A for employees? We work with an auto-inclusion scheme.
All right, hi Gwendolyn, thanks for the question. Yes, both GPayroll and AGHRM does that for you. If you want to see how GPayroll works, you can actually just go to YouTube and just type in there GPayroll, and you can see how they handle that part. As for AGHRM, you can actually contact their salesperson to give you a quick demo. I believe AGHRM also has a YouTube channel where you can check it out. Yeah, so both does.
Amazing, thanks, Jason.
Perfect.
Natasha,
Thanks.
anything else? We have time for one or more if you want, if there's anything else.
Yes, so let me just have a look. We did have a few last minute ones coming in. So which payroll software partners with accountants and bookkeepers?
In South Africa, PaySpace.
Look, I know
what
that's
Jason said.
because, sorry, Henny, I'm jumping in because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, because I know that Simple Pay is probably the widest used one, but from our experience, and I don't know recently, maybe it has changed, like really recently, because it hadn't a couple of months ago, they don't have a partner program. But I think it's because their costs are really low, so they possibly can't offer discounts to accounting professionals. But that's one of the reasons that we work with PaySpace. That's in South Africa. Kevin or Jason, do the payrolls in your regions offer like a business partner program, like Quickbooks Online Accountant? Kevin?
Yeah, yes, they do. You kind of have to ask and you will receive. It's a bit like that. So tell them what scale you're talking, and it goes from there. Yeah, Simple Pay and Cloud Pay.
Amazing. And Jason? Sorry, Kevin.
AGHRM definitely provides. Yeah, I can just have a quick chat with them.
Okay, fantastic. Natasha, that should answer that.
Okay, thank you so much. So that's all we have time for today, but any other questions, we will make sure that we get answered by our panel after the session.
Yeah, so we'll look at the region's questions. We'll get back to you individually. I'm just going to hop on to just 2 more slides, if you can bear with me. I just want to share some important information with you. So just how to get in touch with in your various regions if you want support. In South Africa, we have a priority support line. It's an international team that's ready and waiting, and they're fantastic. We deal with them very often. So it's a local number, but an international team that gets you. We also have a Facebook group for the South African QuickBooks advisors to learn and support each other. So you can just click on that link to join. In Ireland, they have a sales-related query, telephone number, and then a callback feature in QBOA. I am going to ask for that again in South Africa. I love that option. And then in Singapore, there's also priority. It's an international team. So whenever you need, you can just give them a call. And then just to give you our details, and Henny, I'm sorry, I forgot to add you, so I will add you before the deck goes out. But just if you want to get in touch with us, so anything that you want more details on or any advice that you need, we'd love to hear from you. So there's my email address under South Africa. Henny's is just Henny, Hennie, and then the same email. For Singapore and Malaysia, you've got Jason, and then for Ireland, you've got Kevin. So yeah, if you need to get in touch with us, please feel free to email, and we will get back to you. And that is it for today. For those of you who haven't, there's a new webinar that we released yesterday. It's going to be on the 12th of August, and I'm going to be covering the QBOA and really deep diving into some of the features that are there. Some of you keep coming back and asking how we can really go into great detail on the work function. So I'm going to be covering that. I'm really excited. So yeah, if you haven't, just please go ahead and join us for that one. Kevin, Jason, and Henny, thank you so much for being here. It really was so enjoyable the last 2 sessions. So I appreciate your input.
Yes,
Yeah, it was nice working.
Thanks, Lauren.
Everyone at the same time.
Yeah, it was great working with you guys. I really enjoyed the discussion sessions, the dry sessions, dry run sessions. It was all good.
Yeah, it was great. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you again on the next one.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. See you guys.